what I'm doing is basically so I don't know if you've noticed, well, I'm sure you have, because you're part of it, but the whole dating world for singles has changed with, with the last 10, 20 years, but especially with the advent of the Tinder generation, which I can't stand, by the way. But what's happening is women and men are both lost as far as what it means to date in these, 2016, 2015, let's say. So everybody's confused, and there's a lot more singles out there than there ever was. Don't get married. A lot more people just, live together and have kids even without getting married. And a lot more men and women are confused about what it takes to meet a partner and what it takes to keep a partner, let's say. So we're coming in this time where it's like it's less likely that you'll stay with somebody. It's less likely that you'll get to find somebody at all, and it's less likely that you'll keep them. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help women and men, but in this point, in this video series, it's to help women understand what it takes, and in particular, women who are, let's say, late 30s, 40s, and 50s. Because and 60s as well, women over 35, because that's the group that I work with, and also because that is the group that's the most confused, because let's be honest, women in their 20s, they haven't come upon that deficiency yet.
No, that's absolutely right. I agree.
Yeah, so unfortunately what happens these days is a lot of, men in their 50s plus, let's say older men, prefer younger women. Younger men prefer younger women. So there's a lot of older women who are fantastic, amazing women, but they're not meeting men. Or they're not keeping the men because they're losing them to the younger women. So what I want to do is I want to even the playing field for these women who would be my clients, really. I want them to understand what men really want. So not what they're saying they want, because one thing is what men say, another thing is what men do.
Yes. Well, do you know, I went on Tinder for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, everybody has a Tinder story.
Hideous.
No, I know, and that's the thing with Tinder. So that the problem with Tinder as well is it's all about swiping, so it's very superficial. So you
waste too much time. It's just I don't have time in my life to fuck about. Actually,
well, exactly. So I think it's when you meet somebody in person, it's so much better than doing all this online dating and everything. So the question is how to do it. And that's what I want to understand from men. What is it that they're attracted to? Is, let's say you did meet the right woman, what would she look and feel like?
Number one, you would feel it was the right woman.
How?
When you look in her eyes, you would know.
Okay, give me something that I can give people to work with.
You would feel an attraction for her, and I know some men don't figure this yet.
Yeah.
If they are attracted to somebody, it's just like if you like somebody, 99 times out of 100, they like you. That's how it works.
Okay, I do agree with you. But that's something that, like, the way you look at somebody, is that the way she looks at you?
Yeah, it's the way
it's like a flirty eye thing.
Eyes, I don't know whether I'm typical in this. I suspect not with a bloke, but eyes are incredibly important to me. You connect with somebody's soul through their eyes. You can see much, much more of the person. So if you look in their eyes, and if she likes you, she'll hold your gaze a little longer than is normal. And
it's something about, so it's about the way that she looks him in the eyes. So let's say that's a good tip to give to women. If she's interested in a man, and this is, I'm going to tell you something honestly, from working with women a lot, this is an issue for women. Women do not know how to show a man that they like him. So now I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. So you're saying if she likes him, she should basically show him by holding his gaze. It's something in that flirty eyes. And you're saying that a man likes that feeling of being liked?
She should hold his gaze, and because some men may not figure out what's going on, if she strokes her hair, holds his gaze, exposes her wrist, they're all subconscious signals that men may not know why, but they will pick up on.
Okay.
And still hasn't got it.
Yeah.
She should occasionally when speaking, just touch the back of his hand.
What about just his knee?
Sorry?
What about his knee if she's sitting next to him? Or his arm or whatever.
Let's try the back of the hand first. The hand on the knee might just be a tiny bit too forward, and the bloke might think she's easy.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So back of the hand. Okay. So now
it's very far from the knee to the inside of your thigh, and so you're starting to get into dangerous territory there.
Okay. So there's something about that. Now, here's something I want to ask you, because a lot of the clients...
The bloke, well, in answer to your question, if she does that, the bloke will know she's interested, but he might think she's interested in a one-night stand, not in a relationship.
Okay, I got that. So basically start with the arm and something harmless.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, here's a question. But obviously, as she gets to know him better, she can work more with more body parts, let's say.
Yeah.
So as, you know, the first time she meets him, let's say she meets him in a bar, an arm is safe. Or she meets him for the first time, let's say they met online, first date kind of thing. The arm is safe. As she progresses the relationship, as they get more and more knowing each other, let's say date number 2, 3, 4, then she can move on to like his knee or whatever.
Absolutely. By that time, if they're interested, they will have already kissed, and when they kiss, they'll both know if they haven't figured it out already.
You're talking about a quick-moving man here, kissing already.
Well, and the kiss is also really, really important.
Right.
That it feels natural. Again, I can only speak for me, but if I'm kissing somebody, it needs to be a two-way thing, and it just needs to feel easy. And again, there should be some electricity flowing, etc.
Okay. Then, as far as some women are not very good at reading the signs of men. How would a man show that he likes a woman? Where he, other than
the
that he wants to see her again.
For both sexes is mirroring.
Mm-hmm.
If she is doing the same things, or he is doing the same things as she is,
mm-hmm.
Holding themselves in the same way, putting their arms in the same place, that's mirroring, and that's an indication that the other party is interested. Again, I'm not normal. I've known about all this stuff for years and years.
Yeah,
my cousin's about 20.
Right. But let's say for you, let's say you're in a bar, and you meet up. So I'm going to ask you two ways about actually meeting women, because I'm going to tell you what my clients go through. So one is, let's say they meet on a networking event. A bar is easy, but let's say they meet at a networking event, and they're both interested in meeting somebody, and they're kind of, but it's a networking event, it's business. How would she know that he's interested in her as a person, and when he says, let's meet for coffee, it's a personal thing and not a let's talk business thing?
She won't know.
Okay.
She won't know until she gets to know him.
Right, so it doesn't matter,
just
basically.
Wants to go to bed with her.
Okay. So it doesn't matter is basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
And
I don't think... I've got friends who are girls. I'm just trying to think of the answer. So I've got friends who are girls who are just great mates, really brilliant people, but there is no physical attraction, and which is it's a wonderful thing, actually, Julie.
Right. I can imagine. You can get help on all your women problems, and you have quite a lot of those. Well,
I think guys are the most important part of knowing whether there's a physical attraction, and if you're the people listening to this really want to have an ongoing physical relationship with someone, i.e., the chance of marriage, and I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
If there is no chemistry through the eyes, there will be no relationship. The difficulty is that chemistry through the eyes can happen for a one-night stand, or it can happen for a long-term relationship. So it's only afterwards, as you get to know each other, that you work out whether you're just both nice people who want to really who enjoy being together.
Okay, so
It's got to be a commonality of interests. If the you can't pretend either. It doesn't work. In the long run, it doesn't work. You've got to be just. It doesn't work for either party. You know, if somebody's just pretending to be with someone, and I'm speaking from experience, it will not work. You've got to be real, and until you get the right person, there is no fucking rush. There's plenty of people out there.
Yeah, so here's a question I have for you, because this is a common thing that happens, okay? I'm going to put a story to you, and I know you're not necessarily falling into this situation, but maybe you can help me out. I have clients who are older women, let's say 50s, okay? And they have friends who are men their age, also 50s, who are, in the moment, playing around with the 20-year-old contingent of women. Because they're well-to-do men, they're very successful, so they can do whatever they want. These women fancy these men, and they think that there is a reciprocation because there is that eye contact and there's that flirting that goes on every time. But the man never takes that to the next level of, let's try to get a date. So is there, what does that mean? Should the woman... is there any way she can turn it around to make, or does that mean he just doesn't fancy her, or is he just not ready?
Dump him. If he's interested in 20-year-old girls, forget him. He's a waste of time. He's
there's no dumping. They're not together. They're super interested.
Don't pursue them. If they're really interested in 20, do you really want to go out with someone who likes 20-year-old girls? Because to be honest, what is the interest in a 20-year-old girl? The head's not got much in it.
You say that, but I know a lot, there happen to be a lot of men who fall in this category, who are, well-to-do, twice divorced or one-time divorced men who, been in a marriage for 20 years. They just are not in a place at the moment to be serious about, somebody. So they're having this play with the 20-year-old girls. But let's say I have one of my clients, for example, is a very attractive, almost 50-year-old woman. Very, very, very attractive. She really, really likes a man slightly older than her, but, around her age, let's say, mid-50s. And, they've been friends for years. And she thinks there's a chemical interest, but the man's, he goes to the 20-year-olds. But there's definitely a flirtation going on. How would she know if that flirtation was just friendship or more than, or that she could do something to make it more?
What I would do, I think absolutely the best way of dealing with it. Get the chap on his own and just say, do you know XYZ? I really like you.
But you can't do that.
Would you like to come on a date with me and see how it goes?
But then but that's like asking yourself, that's opening yourself up for rejection. That's not something
that's life.
No better advice than that then.
But it's not.
The point is there a way that the man would show that he's interested in just having, let's say, more signs from her? But you said, for example, you have these women that you don't fancy, but you just, you're friends with them. How would you, how would the woman know? Because some of these women might be holding on to hope that you might like them. So how would these women know, is there anything these women can do to make you fancy them? Or how would these women know if you're interested in them more than just friends?
I don't think so. So, I mean, one of them is in any case, again, I'm speaking from my experience, happily married. I know her husband, and we have a little code that we had in the Navy. If someone's married and you are friends with their husband, it doesn't matter if they're married to the most beautiful woman in the world, you are never going to touch her.
Right,
but in this instance, anyway, there's the only attraction that there is in it is an intellectual one and never a physical one.
Right.
And the other one, who's a really good mate of mine, is a lesbian. It's fantastic.
Right. Okay. So they're not interested in you. There's no hope for you getting them. But let's say you have a woman that that is interested in you. She's single and you hang out a lot. How would she know whether you're interested or whether you think of her as just a friend? because I have clients who have male friends, and when you're older, an older woman, you tend to have more male friends than when you were younger.
Yeah.
How would they know if those male friends were interested in them, or if they if they just wanted them as friends? What's the differentiation that the man makes?
Again, for me, it would just be like something that happens, an electricity that you feel with eye contact, or a little bit too much touching than you would normally do with a friend.
That's how you would show. Because with friends, you don't risk ruining the friendship over not knowing.
No, therefore you wouldn't just go around touching them. But you see, you do touch friends sometimes. You would naturally just it's just a little bit more touching and the eye contact.
But if he doesn't then ask her out, what should she do? Is there anything she should do, or does she just assume he doesn't fancy her?
The only thing she can do is ask him out and say, "Do you know what? I really like your company. Do you want to go to dinner?"
Don't listen to this women. Don't follow that advice. Don't do that.
You don't actually have to say, "I'm interested in a relationship." So, do you want to just go to dinner?
Oh, okay, that's good. That's okay.
I love the company. Do you want
so you think it's okay for a woman to ask a man out in a way like that?
Why not? I mean, men the man is going to think, that's nice, she likes me, and we have great fun together. Why not? It's just a mate. Now, over dinner, something might happen. It might not. If it doesn't happen then, and she can't feel anything else, i.e. after dinner, he might kiss her on the cheek and say goodbye, then probably at that point she needs to think, okay, we're going to stay mates, that's great. We're still mates, I haven't lost anything, I haven't made a fool of myself. If he kisses her on the lips and is a little bit more friendly with her, then she can think that it might go further.
But you're assuming that all men will make that move. I mean, I would assume a lot of men wouldn't make that move, even if they did have dinner, even if they are sitting side by side.
Well, I don't know. Do I? I'm only me.
Because you're very forward.
Mankind.
So anytime you'd fancy a woman, you would make that move.
If I was, listen, Julia, if I was out with somebody, and we clearly liked each other, and we enjoyed a good meal together, I would look in their eyes and I'd know whether they wanted to kiss me or not, and I'd just kiss them.
Right. But if you've been friends for a woman for a long time, and maybe you don't have this problem, you wouldn't necessarily be willing to risk the friendship based on, something that could or could not happen.
I guess if you were, if that was the case, then you might decide to just have another dinner. But I would probably, if I was the woman you're talking about, wait and see whether the man said, "Shall we do dinner again?" Because if she asks again and he's not forthcoming, he's probably not interested. He prefers his 20-year-olds.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. And do you think that man could ever, do you think these men would change after time?
I don't know. I have no time for people like that. I think they're just sad people who, as you say, despite business success, feel the need to parade around with the youngster on their arm to feel young. Well, just accept who you are and love who you are. There's clearly something about themselves they don't like, and maybe they should be, your woman should be looking for somebody who's more confident in themselves in reality.
My female audience is loving you right now, by the way. They're all going to be asking me who you are, because that's exactly what they want to hear. But let me ask you a question. What is it that you find then more attractive about older women than about the 20-year-olds?
Much more interesting brain. You know what? I've got some 20-year-old friends, but not physical friends, if you like, just friends. And they're good fun. And of course, I'm of an age where my kids are that age. They're stupid. They are stupid. They're irresponsible. They are still children. And for an older guy, there is no fun in that. There is a real disparity between the interests of a 50-year-old and the interests of a 20-something-year-old. And it doesn't meet, if let's assume, for instance, that you might be 40-something, Julia, that you're different at 40-something to which you were at 20-something. And I look at my kids, and I love spending, of course, they're my kids, I love spending time, and some of our interests coincide, but they need to go and do stupid things, which children do. And these 20-something-year-old women, they're just... the interests are different. So there is no depth to the relationship. Yeah, it might be a physical relationship, but life's more than just a bloody physical relationship.
That's brilliant.
It's nothing, it's two-dimensional. So you go to a 40 or 50-year-old. Now, here's a horrible, blunt truth, that if you've got a 50-year-old who hasn't looked after herself, men are really lucky in general. We just don't show our age so much. Look, you know, some of us, our hair starts to get thin and all the rest of it, but in terms of our bodies, they don't really, it's hard to tell.
So what you're looking for...
so if you get a 50-year-old woman who's, you know, her breasts are down by her waist because she's had several children, she's got quite a lot of fat around her middle, blah, 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 her legs are a bit chubby, she's going to lose out to someone who's a little bit more attractive. So
as long as she looks after herself, that's
looks
the main
after
thing.
herself. I mean, you're a beautiful 50-year-old. She's still a great mate of mine.
Right.
Now, we were in this sort of friends with benefits, but we were never in love. We just were great. Very intelligent. In fact, I think she was a year older than me. Very, very intelligent, had her own business, and therefore there was a commonality of interest. She understood what I did. In fact, at the time, she was also a lot better off than me because I was in my dog food years.
Okay, so then tell me why you were friends. Why would you then make somebody friends with benefits versus a lover, versus your partner?
Lack of... we both knew it. We both were... She understood people as well. There was no complete in-love spark. You know,
How do you get that? What does a woman have to do to have that in love spark?
You can't make it. You can't make it. It's either going to be there or not. You can't manufacture it.
So how does a woman know if she's been put in friends with benefits category or partner category?
Ask her heart. She'll feel it. Look into the man's eyes and feel it. It's not just what she feels, but what they're feeling. And do they really go out of their way to show love and affection and kindness? Or are they more like a really good mate? And the signs are always there.
Right. What are those signs exactly?
This is a hard one.
I know, it's not meant to be easy.
Get to the tricky ones now. Oh, what are those signs? No matter what, how she is or how she's feeling, the man will really want to be looking after her because he genuinely cares. He'll put himself out time and again to make her life easier because he's absolutely in love with her. So he will make sacrifices in his life to spend time with her, wants to be with her, but the feeling is likely, if she feels it, it's likely to be reciprocal. And if she's truthful with herself, and this is going to apply to a lot of your women, they want a man and they think that this man is going to be suitable because he's, you know, whatever, he looks okay, he's, you know, he's got 2 arms, 2 legs and his own teeth and a decent amount of money and he's quite funny.
Right.
And it's interested in them, but they're not in love. They like them a lot, but they're not completely in love. It will be reciprocal. It's very likely that's how the bloke feels. So it always look for that reciprocity. It's how it works. So really examine how they genuinely feel. And if they are genuinely head over heels in love, there's quite a good chance it is reciprocated. If it's just a big convenience for them and they think this is a safe place for me, this is a good man, then they might be thinking the same thing.
And how long does that love take to develop normally? That's time thing, isn't it? Because in the beginning, when you get to know somebody, sometimes they make sure that they, men make time, and sometimes other things get in the way and there's no time.
And do you know what? It's some and some. Sometimes you see someone and you're in love and you feel it, and it's a terrible curse. Other times it develops over a period of time. I don't know which is stronger. Probably the one that develops over a period of time, because that sort of in love, out of control feeling is wonderful, but it's not the basis for a long-term relationship necessarily, just because it feels great in the short term. It can mask defects in somebody that you come to dislike in the future. But of course it's important, because without love you might as well not bother in the first place.
Right. Okay, so what would make, let's say a man meets a woman, let's say these guys meet in let's say online dating. You meet somebody, or even you meet somebody in a bar, or you meet somebody in an event, or whatever it is. What would make him want to see her again?
She made him laugh. They shared experiences and enjoyed each other's company. It's really, really important. So they got to actually enjoy each other's company, and you want to feel that through the eyes, some sort of attraction. So if you put those things together, that's a powerful combination. An attraction you've seen through the eyes, and some common interests, and just enjoying each other's time together, and you think, wow, that's great. That would make them want to see them again.
Okay. And then what about, like, women ask me all the time, they say, okay, well, I had this date with this guy, it was really amazing, but then it just like never happened that we could see each other again. Something always comes up. I seriously get this a lot from clients. Because it is this kind of dating world where you have lots of options. What does that mean?
Again, I can only speak from personal experience, Julie. Sometimes in life, things do genuinely come up. And some of these guys, especially if they're reasonably well off and have a high-powered job, there are so many things that can get in the way, genuinely get in the way. And I know it can seem like, and that's your own fears inside. And you think, well, perhaps he doesn't like me, or blah, 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 whatever. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's the case. If they say they want to see you, okay, if it carries on forever, then clearly there's another reason behind it. But I just look at the individual circumstances. What's to be gained by saying you want to see somebody if you don't? Why don't you just say, you're really lovely, but I don't want to see you again? Because that's nice and easy to say, and it's finished then. So I
think we were just scared of confrontation.
I tend to take it at face value and just accept it. Particularly if this individual had difficult living circumstances and spent a lot of time out of the country, for instance.
Well, you know what? That brings up a really interesting point, because I do have a lot of clients that, and in fact, not just a lot of clients, a lot of friends, or a lot of people these days. You do have these national relationships, because you have people living somewhere, you have people traveling places. A lot of my clients travel for work, for example, and they were, like, for example, one of my clients met a man on a conference. And then they had this, long distance relationship going on, where he lives in one country, she lives in another country. They sometimes meet in a different country. Sometimes they meet in hers, sometimes they meet in his, whatever it is. So they have this long distance relationships. What should we expect? What should women expect from those kind of relationships, as far as what kind of, keeping in touch in between, is the right amount for them to signal that they actually are interested?
I think that's hard.
Yeah.
I think that partly depends how far down the line they are in their relationship.
Okay. So it changes. So it changes kind of.
I think so. I think as the relationship develops, again, I can only speak from my point of view, you want to hear from somebody every day and know, how's your day been, how are you doing, how are you feeling. It's you just want to hear their voice. You can exchange the odd messages, but texts and stuff, it's fine. It has its place, but there's nothing actually beats speaking to people. So, but I think that comes as relationships develop. You get to that stage where you clearly know there's a relationship. It's accepted by both of you. You are in a relationship. And at that point, you wanting to speak to each other. It doesn't mean every single day, but most days and sometimes several times during the day because you're in a relationship with them.
Okay, well, that's a good point you bring up with the, relationship. So, like, for example, I have a client who has this, somebody she's seeing, but who lives, he's in Germany, she's in Finland, completely different countries. They sometimes meet in London, sometimes in Italy, sometimes wherever. And they meet, whenever she travels for work, she does conferences, he travels for work, he does, similar conferences in the same area. So sometimes they'll end up in the same place, sometimes they'll just make sure they end up in the same place. When, how does she know? Is that a relationship? Is that not a relationship? When do they make it? When do they think it's a relationship? Is it just when they've been intimate, or is it?
It's partly when it becomes intimate. That's important, but they need to make time to go to either one or the other's permanent place and have a long weekend, not a day, not 2 days, but a long weekend, and that's when you start to really get to know somebody. They see your space, you'll reciprocate, you'll see their space, you'll see how they live. And at that point, after you've done that, you start to think, okay, we're having a relationship, I'm in a relationship. And
so what goes first? What goes first in your opinion, the intimacy or the relationship?
I think they're probably hand in hand, actually. You've not got a relationship if you're not intimate with somebody. It's a friendship, but it's not a relationship unless there's intimacy.
Well, intimacy, I mean sexual, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So but it might not be sexual. It might be heavy petting, let's say.
Last couple of questions, I guess. So when, we talked a little bit about intimacy and stuff like that. What would you advise, clients who, for example, you don't see each other often because of whatever, these kind of relationships where maybe he's working a lot and he's traveling for work, maybe she's working a lot, she's traveling for work, so maybe you see each other once a week, something like that. How's too soon for intimacy and what's too long for intimacy?
You know what? I think it absolutely depends on the circumstances. Mm-hmm. If you are, let's say, you've gone to stay with each other, so you've been.
Well, how soon would you do that?
Well, it depends. If you've been out for dinner a couple of times, you get on like a house on fire. If it's that distant relationship you were talking about, mm-hmm. you might do it a little bit sooner just to be able to get together.
Right.
But you can go to bed together without having sex. There can be an intimacy in that, and you can say to the man, look, we can go to bed together. We don't need to sleep in separate beds, but I don't want to have any sex tonight. He will, if he's a proper bloke, he'll respect that. And actually, it's not a bad thing. It might mean that you both actually want to have sex because you're both human and there is a relationship. And if that's the case, do you know what? Maybe it will happen. Maybe it won't. But it's mm-hmm. not. I don't think there's an absolute sort of set rule. Right, we've been out 5 times now. We've done this. We've done. Now we're going to go to bed. It doesn't work like that, and it's not the real world. Right. So you might just be sitting downstairs, glass of wine, watching a movie together in front of the fire, and you start kissing, and stuff happens,
right.
or not, as the case may be. And remember, sometimes the man, and I've been there, uh-huh. feel the woman is a bit desperate to have sex, and he's thinking he's not ready. He's thinking, I want to get to know you a bit first. It's not just the man trying to have sex. Sometimes it can be the other way around.
I think with that comment, you've definitely won the other half of the female viewers as well now. They're all going to be asking me who you are.
It's the individual circumstances. That's all. It's individual circumstances.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. I know you have to go.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. It was very, very helpful. I might actually inquire further on another phone call. Talk to you later.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
I'll see you.